I am finally finishing a project that is over 2 years in the making. Actually, it's not really 2 years in the making. I started it 2 years ago and then ignored it for a couple of years, as you do, though maybe not as impressive as years worth of making a single art piece. It did take me about 11 hours, which is definitely time, especially for me and my art. So without further delay, I bring you some Critical Role Campaign 3 fan art. Yes, that is a picture of a motorcycle. Yes, I am directly tracing it as a reference for my sketch. If you say that makes this fake art, it took me 11 hours to do this without trying to draw a motorcycle from memory. And if I did have to draw a motorcycle from memory, I would simply pass away. But before I get too involved in the drawing process, I will say that this will be a hopefully mostly spoiler-free video. Obviously, I am drawing the characters of Campaign 3 using the characters' names and calling the group by their chosen party name, but I will do my utmost to not spoil any plot or character developments or anything like that, since many of you are likely in different spots along your Critical Role adventures or not even listening to Critical Role at all, which is totally fine. Also, I personally am on episode 54 of 95 in Campaign 3 or something like that, so I am super behind in my listening content. But on to the drawing itself, which again I started a while ago. Specifically, I started drawing it whenever the cast decided on their group name. They decided to call themselves Bells Hells. And it has been a hot minute since I've listened to that episode, so I can't remember if it was a conversation that they had at the table or if this was a thought that I had while listening to the episode, but I was left with the distinct impression that the name Bells Hells sounded like a retro motorcycle gang, and thus the concept of drawing the group in more modern attire all around a motorcycle was born. There was a hot moment where I considered making FCG, the little robot boy, into the motorcycle itself, but I felt like it was kind of unfair to take the time to draw so many of the beloved characters and saying, hey, you're a Warforged, so why don't you get to be the motorcycle now? So while I do end up coloring the motorcycle in FCG colors, I do still draw the wheelie boy. I feel like it's not my usual workflow to start from the faces of the characters and work my way out from there, but that is kind of what happened whether or not I wanted it to. I was really intimidated by Ashton's features. Ashton is an Earth Genasi and they have very angular features, they have purple crystals for hair, and I was feeling very spooked about that because I really wanted to get it right. I really wanted it to be a nice piece because I truly love these characters and Critical Role as a whole. So I spent a lot of time pushing and pulling, and then I came out of it like 30 minutes later, having finished only one face, really loving how it turned out, and then realizing that I had to put that same amount of effort into 6 or 7 more faces and it still wouldn't be a finished piece. And I mean, the reason I picked up the piece a second time all these years later was because the project I had scheduled for last week's video ended up being bigger and much more overwhelming than I thought it would be, and I thought maybe I can hot swap projects real quick and do a drawing instead. And I thought, hold on, I know I have a work in progress and I'm sure if I start from a piece that I've already started, it'll be easier, right? Wrong. Very wrong. So wrong, in fact, that I got overwhelmed with my inability to finish any of the projects that I had scheduled for the week, and then I ended up panicking and burning out, which is super fun and enjoyable. But I don't want to throw a pity party, so let's talk about the fun character design decisions. Did I stick to a single era for the clothing? No. Did I pick a unifying color theme? Absolutely not. Did I base my clothing off of some of the official character art? Kinda, I guess. Did I mostly pick clothes based off of vibes and whimsy? As per usual, yes, absolutely that was the case. Ashton gets a leather moto jacket because of course they do. Imogen gets to keep her general color scheme with the purple hair and the iridescent vibes and pastels, and of course some high-waisted jeans. I put Fern Calloway in one of those bright coral pink A-line bell sleeve retro dresses with a bunch of florals all over it. And if her legs weren't covered in the image and also if she didn't actually have goat legs and hooves, I might have given her cute white go-go boots. Dorian the Air Genasi, I dressed in all blue because he's all blue, baby. I did denim on denim with a very 80s cut in the jacket. It is definitely one of my top favorite outfits in this entire composition. Laudna is in a suitably maroon red tank top with high-waisted black jeans, and I think she's a little more 90s era in terms of clothing, especially when I add little white rhinestone designs later in the process. Actually, taking a minute to dwell on Laudna's character design, the artist of the Campaign 3 official art and a lot of the Critical Role art, Agarthan Guide, she draws Laudna either blacked out irises or just fully dilated pupils. Either way, it's not something that I took an intentional note of in her character design until I had to draw Laudna's eyes. Turns out it's actually kind of difficult to have like a fully blacked out enlarged iris like that without making the character look cartoonish or cutesy, or at least it was kind of difficult for me. So I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate how the artist was very much able to achieve that look and also still have Laudna look haunting and haunted. That is a very 10 out of 10. So on to the rest of the character designs. Orym the halfling, I make him just a dapper little guy. He's so sweet and genuine. I gave him a thick striped shirt with a collar, rolled sleeves, proper brown loafers, and I made his hair a little longer and curlier than it is in most of the official art. I did want to make his shirt green because Orym is very nature aligned as a character, but it ended up contrasting with the rest of the art in a really weird way. So instead I opted for a reddish orange. And FCG is just FCG because I have been a little out of brain juice as of late, believe it or not. In hindsight, I would have liked to give him some fun sunglasses or maybe a little biker vest or a helmet. It is what it is. We cannot change the past. Actually, I could technically go back and rework the art, but no, it's done. It's 11 hours done. It's done. But my absolute favorite design of all of these characters is Chetney's. He is the white-haired gnome front and center. Chetney is my partner's favorite character of Campaign 3. My partner was super stoked with the style choices I made and with how he turned out in the end. I will be honest, the outfit is entirely ripped from this image, but I think it's amazing. I think it suits him in every way. The colors, the vibes, it's a very simple look, but it suits Chetney so well, especially the big orange chunky square glasses. I love it. So there are some smaller details on Fern's dress that I did want to have because floral should be very present in her design. Not only does it make sense for the era that the dress was inspired by, but it also aligns with her character, and Fern is one of my favorite characters in the entire series. If you have been part of this channel for a while, you likely already know this as a result of one of my more popular videos on the channel where I made a Fern Calloway cosplay, which I have been so badly meaning to get back to and refresh before the next Ren Fair, but I digress. Because I am a fool, but more honestly because I grew up making traditional art and not digital art, I often work on very few layers when doing my usual painty style. Consequently, selecting sections with the lasso tool is a little tedious. I often have to do it meticulously and manually, and I don't know if it's actually an issue of the way I make my art or if it's just that I don't know digital art tools well, because my digital art experiences are almost entirely self-taught. Because it's kind of an annoying process, I just skip selecting a section and fix my mistakes manually. For Fern's dress, when drawing in the patterns, I did take the time to select sections specifically because it was so close to the motorcycle details, and I was really happy with the way the colors on Imogen's shirt looked, and the motorcycle and her were in front and I didn't want to mess them up. And I know you're supposed to work back to front, but when have I ever said I have an efficient creative process? I said previously in the video that I was super intimidated by the idea of drawing Ashton, and I was putting off working on their crystal hair because that's a lot of reflections and sharp edges, and I find that so scary. Ashton does have such a beautiful design. I love them so much, but the moment I saw their character image, my first thought was, boy, howdy, is this going to be a fun one for the the cosplayers. And you know, these cosplayers, they sure done it. There are already some very incredible Ashton Greymore cosplays out there made by people who are much more talented than me. I was scared of drawing it, let alone having to make whatever that situation would be, a wig, a helmet, I don't know. Cosplay struggles aside, I will say, once I got into it, drawing the crystals was way less scary than I thought it would be. It was in fact extremely relaxing. You might be able to see as the sketch zooms past you as an hour of work passes with every minute that you watch of this speed draw that I have very briefly indicated to add more tattoos to Chetney's arm. Chetney does canonically have one tattoo, the crown with the letters RTA, but I wanted to give him not quite a full sleeve, but at least a few more tattoos, and I got through them relatively quick, and as previously said, the speed draw is the speediest of my draws, so I'm not sure exactly how long they'll be on screen, but regardless of that, I want to take some time to talk about the tattoos and why I chose the ones that I did. First off, I chose American traditional tattoo styles because, I mean, it just goes with the biker theme so well. So I have some depictions of a woman, I have a little heart with a sort of ribbon wrapped around it, I have some flowers. Chetney often implies that he has had a few lovers throughout his very long gnomish life, sometimes as a brag, sometimes as a sheepish admission, so I wanted to put nods to those relationships in his tattoos. He also has a little knife tattoo because he is a rogue, and I did think about putting a chisel instead, as that's more true to his character's flavor, but I kind of liked how the dagger turned out. And of course, we have to put in some dice because not only is that a motif that I saw come up pretty often in traditional American tattoo designs, I felt like it was a fun sort of meta nod to the fact that it's D&D. How could I not? And we're down to the last hour of my drawing process and the last minute or so of the speed draw, and we dedicate that to drawing FCG and also adding a couple of other little details. Look, again, I do feel very bad that FCG is kind of just FCG with no special character design elements or modernizing, but like I said, somehow it felt worse to just exclude his character design entirely and just make him the motorcycle. But as for other little details at the end of this video, it's hopping around and realizing that I totally forgot to finish rendering in Dorian's jacket or Fern's horns or Ashton's hands. My art process is not efficient. It is in fact very stressful and anxiety inducing, especially when I step back and I'm like, finally complete, only to zoom out and realize I've got like a good 30 minutes to an hour left of rendering to do. But luckily I got to do the fun little final touches of jewelry and necklaces. I had little stars and a moon to Laudna's shirt. I give her a necklace featuring the skull of her dead rat pate. I give Dorian a pin that is a little pair of blue wings on his denim jacket. Just little things like that as nods to the characters and their official designs. And there, finally, after so many years, I have finished my very first campaign 3 fan art. I guess cosplay technically counts as fan art in its own way, so maybe it's not my first, but it's the first digital art piece of the full cast of Bell's Hells that I've ever done. It took us a while, but we got there, literally exactly in time for the 3rd installment 2024 release of official images for the campaign 3 characters. They are gorgeous. I will not be showing them in this video for A, spoiler reasons, and for B, you should go enjoy them on Critical Role's official pages, but I did make a bonus version of my drawing where I cut out the edges and put a little vignette to make it look like a Polaroid style picture, which I thought was kind of cute. But with that, thank you so much for watching, and as always, I truly appreciate the support and love and patience. And is it Thursday yet? Oh, nope. I mean, who knows? Not me.